How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about an all-time haunted house classic, and that is the Amityville Horror, the original from 1979. This was directed by Stuart Rosenberg and stars James Brolin, Margaret Kidder, and Rod Steiger. And yeah, of course, everyone nowadays has to say, it's kind of funny that Thanos' dad wound up with Lois Lane. But anyway, this movie is an adaptation of the supposedly true haunting of George and Kathy Lutz, as told to Jay Anson, and documented in the novel The Amityville Horror, and as it says across the bottom, a true story. Now, over the years, people have debated how true exactly the story is. A lot of people coming up to the conclusion of it was at least exaggerated. But I know that this will bug some people who, when you say it's true and it's not 100% true, there are going to be people that get upset with this. Personally, I don't mind. Most stories are made up anyway. And I never really dive headfirst into a supposedly true story, but like Fargo, I do like a story told in the true story aesthetics. The mood is kind of low-key, they let things simmer, it builds into an emotional state for the family, and the idea that all this could have really happened, it's a fun idea. I kind of put it in the same camp as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Blair Witch Project. Yeah, not exactly real, but really going for that aesthetic and vibe. The Amityville Horror is very much the haunted house version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and when you get right down to it, there's some really good atmosphere and some really good iconic moments in this one. But that being said, what's the story about? No major spoilers, but here's the idea behind the movie. We open up 1 year ago with the police investigating a horrific crime, and that would be the DeFeo murders. Ronald DeFeo Jr., after hearing voices in his head, got a shotgun and one by one went to all of his family members and shot them while they were sleeping. And this section of the story is totally true. It's documented. It went to court. And no one really knows how none of the family members woke up. They all just lied there for no apparent reason. None of them got up at the sound of a shotgun. They all must have been just really heavy sleepers, or something was keeping them down. Also, none of the neighbors even heard it either. Crazy, creepy stuff. As the police are talking about the crimes, we get flashes, inserts, showing the shotgun going off and depicting the horrible event, and these inserts will continue over a little bit into the next family buying the house, and that would be the Lutzes. And for those of you who really are concerned with what's true or not, the Lutzes side of things is, again, generally considered to be at the very least exaggerated. But you get a family, George and Kathy Lutz. Kathy had 3 kids from a previous marriage, and George is a contractor. They've never been able to afford a house of their own. The Amityville house is way bigger and way nicer than they could ever imagine, and they shouldn't be able to afford it, but of course, the house has a grisly past. No one else wants it, and this is an opportunity for them. What could go wrong moving into the murder house? Right off the bat, we get Father Mancuso coming to bless the house, and we will get an absolutely iconic scene where he sees a room that slowly gets covered in more and more flies, and he hears the whispered voice, "Get out!" One of the most iconic quotes in horror movie history, and he'll begin his own subplot where he's trying to reach the Lutzes and warn them, and the evil force in the Amityville house will cause him to fall into worse and worse health, and we'll check in on him from time to time. As far as the Lutzes go, the movie is about 2 hours long, and it really takes the time to let things go and boil. We start off, the things are relatively minor, the phone keeps getting disconnected, George feels constantly cold when other people don't, and he's going to obsessively start to feed the fire. And I really like getting to see the change in them, the character change. That's a big thing. I mean, look at Margaret Kidder's costuming in this movie. She starts off, literally in the first half, wearing pigtails, and in the second half, everyone's wearing gray and they're all sweaty and dirty. You get to see a character transformation, and that's the thing. You can have spooky things, you can have jump scares, but it's the character transformation that really does get to you. But of course there are scary things in here as well. Hinting at them vaguely, you do of course get the secret red room that the dog finds by constantly barking at it. Gotta love good old Harry there. And of course the infamous scene with all the blood. And you even get the daughter talking about her imaginary friend Jody. Jody, the evil demon pig. That's absolutely classic. Amityville really does have some cool, iconic imagery in here. The little kid's imaginary friend, the rocking chair when no one's in it, the house with the 2 windows at the top that look like evil eyes, and even the theme music with the little kids singing that song and it's all slow and dreary. There's some cool stuff, and also worth noting, a lot of the stuff established in Amityville would go on to be haunted house tropes. They really did make the mold when they made this movie, and so much of what a haunted house movie is would spawn from this. I mean, James Wan, when he made his Conjuring movies, clearly was a big Amityville fan, and I would argue a big fan of Amityville too. If you haven't seen it, super underrated movie. Needless to say, things do creep to a pretty good explosive climax. When you get there, it's really cool, but one thing with this movie is the climax is actually relatively short compared to the whole runtime, and there's a lot of things that happen in this movie that you swear were bigger and more over the top, like the way you remember them in your head is more extreme than they actually were. And I can't help but again compare this to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The original Tobe Hooper film wasn't all that gory, but people remember gore that wasn't there. And like with Chainsaw, with Amityville, a lot of the stuff that happens you swear was bigger. You swear there was a bunch more flies and a bunch more blood, and you swear the climax was like twice as long as it was. And I think that's a really good sign. They couldn't have thrown too much at the camera. It would have come off as cheesy and you would have lost the supposedly true aesthetic. But if what they did was impactful enough, it can grow in the audience's head, and that's always what's important. How does the film resonate in your mind? Even if that's not what they show you, what do you come away with? And I love movies like this. I love movies that get in your head and become bigger than they actually were. So yeah, the original Amityville is a little low-key. If you want the more over-the-top version, the remake produced by Michael Bay will give you that, and I'm sure I'll cover that sometime soon. Goofy fun movie with Ryan Reynolds, actually. But anyway, the Amityville Horror is definitely one that I can recommend. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Haunted house classic, creepy atmosphere, iconic imagery, and a building sense of dread for the characters. Plus that whole true haunting feel. Super, super cool. Anyway, all that being said, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Amityville playlist. If you want to see me talk about more Amityville movies, you can find them there. And I will be working on covering the official series, but fun fact with Amityville, because the town's name is public domain, a lot of people have made unofficial ones, and you can find my reviews to a lot of the unofficial ones down here. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Amityville playlist here. Have a good day now.